We had so many follow-up questions about using Canva, MediaMagic, about using free elements. So I sent an email to Canva and I also talked to Canva AI about how to actually do this. And this is kind of inception that I'm showing you here. I'm asking Canva AI, can we use free elements with our pro account, right? Can we use free elements for copyright if we claim it as a larger body of work? Like maybe there's a little motif, maybe there's a little draft, maybe there's something little. They said using free elements in a larger body of work can be tricky. While you can use free elements, claiming them as part of a larger work may not grant you copyright. Are you asking for use of them in a specific type of project or a particular purpose? I'm telling them what all of us do. Print-on-demand site that requires copyright ownership, which is Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. Print-on-demand books, right? So I'm telling Canva, this is what we're trying to figure out as a community. And they said, are you asking if you can use Canva's free elements for a project on Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing? Do you have a different question in mind? If AI's understanding, like that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. Yes, I am. That is my question. That is what I want to know. Tell me the answer, right? I'm asking AI for the answer. You can use Canva's free elements in your design for print-on-demand sites like Amazon KDP, but you don't get exclusive copyright ownership over those elements themselves. Your overall design is unique, but the individual element can be used by others too. If you want full copyright ownership, it's best to use your own original graphics or illustrations. For more details, what's allowed, check out Canvas policy. So this is where it gets really complex, where like there's so many different YouTube videos with different answers, where it comes down to the definition of copyright. Copyright is originality, right? And so I'm asking Canva, so Canva does allow me to use free elements in my design, but Amazon requires exclusive copyright of the body of work. So how do we actually make sense of this, right? Canva says, yes, you can use free elements in your design, but claiming exclusive copyright ownership over the entire work may not be possible. Are you looking for more information on how to ensue copyright compliance for your project? So this is the important part, is that we don't have the full rights to take another artist's artwork, okay? And so I'm asking, why can't I claim full copyright over the body of work, right? And the reason why is because we don't own the original parts of it. I recently had a student that was able to register their entire book. They were able to get copyright over it, and they have some AI inside of their book, okay? So Canva asked me, what specific concerns or reasons do you have about claiming full copyright over your work? Well, Amazon requires it. We have to click the button, right? And Amazon has been blocking people's covers when they've used free elements. They've created patterns out of free elements. So they are making original work, but they don't own those elements, right? And so copyright is taking other elements and putting them together. But when you don't own those elements, you can't get full copyright over it, right? So it says, sounds like you're concerned, yeah, a little, right, about Amazon's copyright requirements for your cover designs. While you can use free elements in your designs, Amazon may have specific policies regarding copyright ownership. Are you looking for guidance on how to create a design that meets Amazon's requirements? I said yes, because I want to see what Canva had to say. You can claim copyright over a body of work if it consists of original elements that you created or combined in a unique way. Okay, so you need to create original elements and combine them in a unique way. That is how you claim copyright. Okay, so the question of this video is, who owns the copyright of your book? Depends who put it together and what you put inside. Canva says, are you asking about specific elements in your design that you believe should grant you full copyright? I'm really trying to get to the crux of, like, I had books that go on Amazon with free elements on the inside, little motifs, and they haven't had any problems, but covers have been creating a lot of problems for people. Canva says, so you can use free elements in your design, but they cannot be considered original to you. To claim full copyright, you need to create or significantly modify elements. How much modification are you considering for your design? So now I'm like, well, what if we used free elements and we are heavily modifying them for Amazon? Then does that allow us to claim copyright? Because I've learned about, deviating works, doing different stuff. So I asked them, so I have permission to modify free elements in order to get copyright ownership over original works. Canva says you can modify free elements to create something that didn't exist before, okay? When using Canva free elements, you can combine, arrange, and modify them to create something unique. However, even if you make changes, the original elements themselves aren't exclusively yours. They remain available for others to use. Your overall design may be protected as your original work if it's creative and unique, but the individual Canva element aren't exclusively copyrighted to you. That's different than commercial release. For full copyright ownership, it's best to use your own illustrations or graphics. If you want to be sure your design meets Amazon's requirements, consider the custom elements from scratch. Okay. Then I ask, what if I use MediaMagic to prompt these original elements in place of free elements? Use MediaMagic to create original content that's specifically original to you. Okay. And I'm like, well, I want to be able to claim copyright. This is the whole story, right? Says, when you use Canva MediaMagic to generate new elements, your design becomes more unique. However, copyright over AI generated elements can be complex as ownership and usage of rights can vary. And so this is really what we want to talk about, right? Is how to make them unique enough to be our own. And one of the ways that you can do that is by prompting AI and explaining everything you're using there, or hiring an artist. Now, when I was in college and I was learning, when I was in high school, when I was in elementary school, we would trace. That's how people learn. That is what AI is doing now. It is tracing, it's getting inspiration from other places. So when you use AI, try to modify that as much as possible. Let's actually go into Canva and look at it. Okay, so I've got this little popsicle. Okay, so I've got my little popsicle guy and I've been playing around. I'm actually doing a coloring book tutorial for you guys, but it is getting longer than I thought. And so I might just break it into little videos and give you guys access in my portal, because it seems like I'm always learning something new. And here's something really interesting with this is that this is a graphic. It is not an image. And so MediaMagic lets you play around with both. And so because this is a popsicle, it is one element. For me to claim copyright over it, I would eventually write, I'm going to build out this coloring book. I'm going to make it 70 pages, but I need to create things that are unique enough that there wouldn't be another popsicle face out there. And because I used AI, I don't know where this inspiration came from, right? And so I would need to do more, right? Black and white coloring page of a empty beach scene. And I'm going to do thin lines because I want it to match my popsicle, right? And so now I'm prompting a second image with AI. Okay, and you can see here, there's still work to be done here as a prompter, okay? We don't want any gradient. We don't want any backgrounds on these. And so this might take a little while, but like, doesn't creating art take time too, right? Like, My undergrad is in fine art. I've been binding books. I need to show you guys the stuff I've been binding. But like we're getting closer here, but I still think there's work to be done, right? Like the background's still gray when I specifically told it not to make it gray. Let's come over here. Okay, so when we're talking about like my students that have had their books passed with copyright registration, see, this wouldn't even necessarily work as well. Okay, let's try this. Okay, so when my students have been getting stuff passed, they're using a very small element inside of their book that is AI. Okay, so that is the trick, or that is the strategy, or that is the, what's the best way to say it? I want to erase part of this. Okay. So with AI, we need to be creative, we need to be original, and it needs to be unique enough that it can pass an application where you're never going to run into someone later being like, oh, I'm a digital artist and you used my popsicle, right? Did I not do that correctly? Obviously. Oh, I exited out too soon. Okay. So I'm doing this tutorial really raw. And one of the reasons I'm doing it really raw is so you don't see me as someone that's like, oh, wow, they have it all figured out. Like I'm learning AI just like you guys are, right? And so there's definitely things I would change about this to make it match more, right? Like now I'm trying to illustrate to you that I have something that didn't exist before. Okay. That two elements that didn't exist before. I'm one step closer to creating an original design, which is going to help me pass that copyright. Now, here's the tricky part. When you create something, like because I did this, I own the copyright because I assembled it together. So I can click the button on Amazon, but we should be taking more necessary steps to protect our work. And I'm going to give you a copyright checklist below that you can go to my website and grab. And we need to protect our accounts in case anything ever happens, right? If we have a book that starts selling, we want to protect it. And in the next video, I'm going to share some of my account suspension experiences where some of these rules were not as clearly laid out, and it left room for ambiguity where I had a book that made me $8,000 and Amazon stopped selling it. And so my goal is to help you keep your accounts as safe as possible. So grab the copyright checklist freebie below. And then I have a link for a free training next week or in 2 weeks if you want to attend. But just remember that the more that we can prompt and create something that didn't exist before, then that is what original work is. That is what copyright is. Copyright isn't copying other people. And in a lot of ways, it's AI is kind of taking over where we were learning how to draw and trace. And so now, like, instead of getting a piece of paper and putting it on top of the screen and tracing, we're actually getting better at prompting to do this, right? And so I want you to think about that as you're building out pages to do a little bit more work to make it a little bit more unique so you're confident to claim copyright, right? So confidence, let's actually go down here and see this one needs more. I did too much where it's like, how do I actually make this my own? One thing that I would do is I would remove the background and see what it would give me. And then might have just been the white. Let's see. Yeah. So I would do more, I would prompt just the seashell by itself. Okay. So let me just kind of write this out for you and we'll put this in, actually this will be in the checklist of the freebie that I'm giving you for you to remember the importance of this law. Like this law was essentially created to protect your work. And so it needs to be like we need to be creating original work. Okay. And part of that process is the way that we create it. And so using other people's elements, using other artists' elements is not going to give us the full protection that we need for our book to continue to sell, right? We want to be able to click the box on Amazon, but we also want to apply, we want to be able to send in an application for registration so we can protect our brand and so other people won't copy us, right? That's another reason that we want to use AI to prompt enough originality is so we can prove that it's a unique work. I think that is something that people forget about is that you might not pass a registration application if your stuff is not unique enough. Okay. Uniqueness. And that is the most beautiful part about using AI is letting our personality and our interest in things bleed through. It's my favorite part as an artist. It's my favorite part as a coach and online course creator and YouTuber is bringing out the personality, right? And so like get on with your bad self, like let your express yourself in a way that you're like excited about the content that you generated. Okay. And so from our little ask Canva, it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to claim full copyright over pro elements or free elements, but we can prompt stuff and we can be original and we can be creative. And these might seem like pitfalls, but they're really ways that we're going to get better at our book creation. Love you guys. See you in the next video. All right, real quick, here's the copyright checklist that you can download. And I'll also include my, I have a, let me pull back up here. I will include the template for you to include copyright notice in the beginning of your book.